It's the Bush League Mud Show. It's the Bush League Mud Show. Let's go.
Are you ready?
Make some noise!
All right, yo. We are back once again for another episode. Slade,
PJ.
We are the Bush League Mud Show. Be sure to like and subscribe and listen to us wherever you can hear your favorite podcast. PJ, what's going on, man? We took a week off. Did it make you miss the product?
Yes.
Dearly? Do you think
to.
that the product dramatically improved in the week that we took off?
Not in the week. It may not have.
I got this McDonald's bag in my
I was going to
hand
say,
right now.
what's the prop here?
Well, it's not necessarily it's a prop. It's just a signification or a symbol of my unsatisfaction. So I'm on my way over here today to record the show, and special shout outs, producer Nate, Dizzy Course Media. We're here in the dungeon recording, and I had plenty of time to get over here.
Yeah.
I figured, okay, I'll get over here early. I'll set up and wait for you. Just kind of go over some last minute notes before we really get into some pro wrestling talk. And my stomach is constantly growling. So I'm like,
Yes.
all right, there's a McDonald's right there. Let me go ahead. Let me pull in.
Yeah.
And it's a McDonald's by the airport. So I pull into the drive-thru, and it's a huge, long line. And all I wanted was just a sausage McMuffin and a hash brown. That's all the fuck I want.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting, and I finally get to the menu, and I'm like at the intercom getting ready to put in the order, and I look at the menu, and of course it's after 10:30, and they're very stingy about the whole breakfast thing. But all the McDonald's locations that I know of, they offer all day breakfast items.
they were pumping that out in their advertisements a couple of years ago. Yeah, we got it all day now.
And they have been doing it for the last probably like 5 years or so, maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm like, all right, okay, even though breakfast is over, I'll still be able to get the sausage McMuffin. Yeah. So I get there and the gal gets on. I said, I don't see it on the menu. I said, but you guys still offer, you guys offer all day, breakfast items here, right? And she goes, no.
What?
And then that's when you have to keep in mind that it's a franchise that everybody does their own they make their own little twist. So I'm like sitting there and I'm like, well, I've already been waiting here in line for so long. Now I'm going to get over to the dungeon right at the time that we are to record. I'm like, I might as well fucking order some, even though I'm not going to be able to get what I really, really want. Yeah. So I end up getting a spicy chicken sandwich. It was but you know how it is. You got something on your mind. And so, anyways, that's why I still have the bag, and I have yet to throw it away.
Oh,
that's my story. Yeah. Yeah, it's a reminder.
The tragedy of non-breakfast after 10:30.
It is just a constant reminder that the next time this happens to me, where I get up to the intercom to put in an order and they don't have the all-day breakfast, man, just drive the fuck off. Just get out of line. Just drive the fuck off.
So this is like watching the product these days. You've got your mind set on, I remember the glory days, the WWE, the Attitude Era.
God, look at the
wars.
See how he did that?
Well, if we're looking at the bag in that way, being that I've already eaten the food that was inside the bag, this bag is now what?
Well, garbage.
It's garbage.
But we consumed, that's the thing, we consumed it. We like the product. That's why we're doing this.
You guys are
but
geniuses.
Now we're here.
I didn't see this coming.
Garbage.
All right, man, let's jump into this. Some pro wrestling news. And
brilliant.
It was kind of seeming a little bit like a quiet week until Friday hit. Friday is the key word in the pro wrestling world, or AKA world of WWE. Third round of cuts announced. Now, the company has not officially put word out that these cuts have been made, but this is, according to Fightful, WWE said to have parted ways with about up to 15 superstars yesterday. We're recording on a Saturday, by the way. So this is the third round. The first round, that was the day after WrestleMania.
Yeah.
The next round was just a couple of weeks ago, and now here we are with the third round of cuts. These cuts here, the noted names on this list. Let me go ahead. Let me pull this back up here. The final list as of Friday night: Fandango.
Yep.
Tyler Breeze, Tony Nese, Aria Daivari, August Gray. The tag team that was known as Ever Rise at NXT: Kurt Stallion, the Bollywood Boys, formerly the Singh brothers, Arturo Ruas, Marina Safir, Killian Dane, and Tino Sabatelli. Now, of course, as mentioned before, the majority of the releases, it was first reported by Fightful. PW Insider also had a little something to do with this as well. So these were cuts that were expected in a way, right? I mean, there were some rumors out there a couple of weeks ago that the company was expected to trim a little bit more fat. We just didn't know when, but they were saying it was probably going to be sooner than later. And for the notable ones that were a part of this, we start off with Fandango, who at one point seemed like a favorite toy / project of Vince McMahon.
Well, he was. At Mania, we've heard the story where Jericho had to. Yeah. Fandango was going over Jericho at Mania.
Yeah, Fandango. He seemed to have confirmed his release on social media. He put out there a tweet where he thanked Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, and Triple H and some of the other WWE executives that he was pretty cool with. Now, when they first brought him in, he was going by Johnny Curtis, and I remember that because he was a part of one of the seasons of the NXT when it was a show.
Okay.
Showcasing some superstars. I can't remember if he was season 2 or season 3, but 15 years, man, he had been with the company for.
15 years?
Well, I remember the first time I saw him, that was early 2010s when he was on NXT and he was working Florida Championship Wrestling. But he had signed his developmental deal with WWE back in 2006. So 15 years. First big break, fourth season is what I have here in my notes of when he was on the NXT actual show. He was wrestling under the Johnny Curtis name. Then he went away for a while after that competition. Then he came back where he was in the Fandango character.
Because Dancing with the Stars was one of the top shows
Dancing
at the time.
with the Stars, and Vince McMahon had an ideal, and this was a guy that he felt would be able to pull it off. So he had so much faith, Vince McMahon, that is, in the Fandango character, that he made the first match for Fandango be at WrestleMania versus the legendary 6-time WWE World Champ Chris Jericho, in which he beat him.
Yeah.
He beat him clean.
Yeah.
After that, they didn't really do much. I mean, they had different gals that were his side kick coming out dancing, and then they finally found a staple with Summer Rae.
Yes.
And then that went on for a while. Summer Rae was really good in that role, and then we split them up, and then Fandango, we just kind of got lost in the shuffle there, and before we know it, he's tag teaming with Tyler Breeze, and they formed Breezango.
Which, again, you would...
And they got themselves over.
It's much like...
with the Fashion Files.
Yeah, I mean, that got over pretty big during that time period. It was, it's kind of like Damian Sandow's trajectory, because, he had to do these little gimmicks in here or there. But I'm sure when they put them Breezango together, they didn't want him over. No. But they got themselves over, just kind of like how Sandow did when he was the Miz's
and Zack Ryder before that.
Exactly.
Yeah, Fandango, he got injured back in 2018, had a torn labrum. He returned back in 2019 on NXT. Tyler Breeze was getting jumped, and Fandango came in to save the day. And they both went back down to NXT. They eventually went on. They won the NXT Tag Team Championships back in August, and since then they've just have been on the show. For Tyler Breeze, he had signed with the WWE back in 2010. He had initially wrestled under the name of Mike Dalton on the Indies before they changed his name to Tyler Breeze. And I actually really enjoyed the Tyler Breeze gimmick. The villainous male model coming out with the selfie cam and all that. I mean, I loved everything about it. I said, you know what? This is a guy that, even though he's smaller compared to the rest of the roster, this is a guy that I think just may be able to someday, whether it be through Money in the Bank or whatever, he might have a shot of being a champ. It was getting over. It was a good villainous heel role. NXT, when I think about him under the original Tyler Breeze gimmick, I think about some of his rivalries back when I first started watching NXT. He had some really good stuff when he was working with Sami Zayn.
Yes.
He worked with Balor for a little bit. He worked with Neville. So there was something there And Breeze, even this is something that people probably have kind of forgotten about. One of his best matches was at an NXT Takeover. It was in Brooklyn, 2015, and what was so significant about that match? That was the only time that Juice and Thunder Liger worked.
That's right. He
for
worked
the WWE, and it was against Tyler Breeze, and they had a really, really, really good match, and he got elevated to the main roster in 2015, and then he got on the shit list early, right? Now, the story of this was it had to do with an event. Was it a pay-per-view or a TV? This is the story where apparently
TV.
He was told that he was able to leave.
Yeah, I think it was
by producers in the back.
I think it was a pay-per-view to get to a TV.
Okay.
Because he's like, they're not using me. So
not using me. He asked if he could leave, get on the road and head to TV. He wasn't on the card that night. According to him, he was told that he could leave.
And it was midway through the show anyway, so they weren't
But
going to
then Vince got a hold of this news and was not happy about it.
Yeah.
And apparently he was on the shit list.
Probably all to set a example to the locker room. That sounds like basically what it was.
That he was one of the youngins. He didn't earn that.
Exactly.
You're not Taker. You're not Cena.
Yeah. Even though it makes common sense not to stick around here and just get to the next town, get ready for, because I think it was a Sunday night and they were going to, they were traveling for Monday night, obviously at the time. And I'm sure he was made an example. I think that's all it was all about.
So Breezango, they are, they're out of here. Breezango, they're out of here.
And of course, their best work, it was with the Fashion Files, Southpaw Wrestling.
Oh, Southpaw Regional Wrestling.
Cheddarfield for Fandango was fantastic.
Yes.
Chet Cheddarfield, the drunk, always missing his wife. And you had him and Cena at the desk.
Oh, they were great.
They were awesome. And of course, Fandango was the banker.
The banker, the dirty banker.
The dirty banker.
With the pasted on mustache. He's constantly putting his mustache on during the takes. Yes.
Great stuff.
Great stuff. Killian Dane, who is the real life husband of Raw superstar, now superhero, Nikki Cross.
Oh, shit. That's right.
He had been with the company since 2016. He was a part of the original stable of Sanity, if you remember. Everybody, and we talked about this, everybody, we knew this was probably going to happen because we had seen this with Enzo and Cass.
Yeah.
Carmella's the only one that still remains from that. Well, the female remains the only one when it came to this staple. Killian Dane was part of the Sanity stable. That was Cross, Eric Young, Alexander Wolf. And so he is out of there now.
I think their problem too, though, on the main roster is you had the Wight family at the same time. So I mean, you had two kind of cults.
Sanity was dead on arrival.
Yeah,
we made a big deal. We were running vignettes. We finally had them come out, and before we knew it, they lost the match to the New Day, and they were dead.
Yeah, they
were done, and then they were just not on TV. They were non-existent.
Yeah.
Or they were running out whenever there was just, I don't know, scuffles breaking out.
Basically, or a lumberjack
just silly
match.
shit. Yeah, just silly stuff like that.
And like you said, with Dane, you got this big, this is a typical 80s, early 90s would be a big-time heel. He's got the makeup or the body frame of that.
Yeah. Sanity, they had held the NXT Tag Team Championships before they got called up to the main roster in 2018.
That's right. Before. I forgot about that.
The group wasn't, after Sanity broke up, Dane, he returned to NXT in 2019. Since 2020, he had been part of this, the Odd Couple Tag Team with Drake Maverick.
Yes.
Who had been released and then brought back into the fold.
Yep.
Dane's last match was June 8th on NXT. He had lost to Isaiah Swerve Scott.
Yeah. That tells you that they maybe knew at that time.
Everrise was one of the cuts as well. Everrise. Now, this was a little surprising to me because Everrise was starting to gain some momentum on the show.
Yeah.
Everrise, that was the team of Chase Parker and Matt Martell. And they have been getting more airtime and have been really gaining some momentum. As I just mentioned before, they had signed with the company back in 2019. They were utilized on both NXT and 205 Live, and they had developed this, what would you guys, a comedy act, I guess. You could say. They wrestled last week on NXT. They lost to Top Dollar and Ashanti Adonis of Hit Row.
Okay. Yeah, the Everrise one I was surprised by, because usually at NXT you got the young tag teams and they love, tag team wrestling at that level on NXT. So usually you want to keep most of these guys around, especially a fresh new team like that you have been just featured on your TV.
Yeah. Shafir is the wife of NXT's Roderick Strong. She's a former MMA fighter. She had signed with the company back in 2018. She's real close friends with Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, and Jessamine Duke. Duke was a part of the last round of cuts with the company. Ronda Rousey, as of right now, she doesn't even have a contract with the company. So that leaves Shayna Baszler as the only one of the 4 horsewomen of the MMA still with the company. And based off the shit they got her doing right now with Alexa Bliss, she might want to ask for her release soon. My gosh. Tony Nese, Daivari, and the Bollywood Boys, they were all signed by WWE back in 2016. They competed in the Cruiserweight Classic tournament. And then they were all fixtures on 205 Live. Nese even won the Cruiserweight title a couple of years ago, WrestleMania 35.
Yeah.
He held it for a little over 2 months.
And I forgot the Singh brothers were back. The Bollywood. I thought they were released a while ago. I forgot that they were still on the roster.
Yeah, they were originally the Singh brothers, and they played a huge hand in Jinder Mahal's world title reign. And that was a title reign that went on for a good solid, 5-6 months.
Yeah.
So they got some prominent TV time there. So there you go. That's the highlights of the latest round of cuts in WWE.
I got to ask you this, though. Quick.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying they're gunning for a sale. They're gunning for a sale. I'm starting to look at this differently, and I think I know what's going on here. When you've got Nick Khan involved now in this, he is trying to get this now like how you would treat a professional sports roster.
Right.
Not everyone's going to get over. Mm-hmm. So I think he is trying to trim it down to the main
He's looking at it realistically.
So like NFL, you've got to get to the 53. You got to get, you've got to get to your certain numbers. I think, maybe they're looking at the demographics. They're seeing, they've got all the analytics. This guy's not getting over so much on TV. This guy is. And then you're going to have cases like Braun Strowman a couple weeks ago, just like in NFL, when you have that contract at the
you got a contract, but
coming up,
you feel that on the depth chart you have someone that you could elevate into that spot and get money off the books.
And if they're making less than that, which I'm sure with some of their giants right now, they're not making Braun money. So I think Khan right now, Nick Khan, is looking at this like, this is our football team. We have our main players here. We need a good supporting cast, but we don't need all the, because what was it? Right? They had like 275 signed talents or something along the lines of that.
If you counted all of their, they own between main roster, NXT, NXT UK, the overseas stuff they've been breaking all these deals over the last several years with different countries, with talent agreements and all that stuff. So I can see your point with that.
So I mean, that's with everyone saying,
Nick Khan is looking at it in a rational way of what a lot of us would look at it as why do you have all this talent on the roster if they're just going to sit in catering?
Yes,
allow these guys and gals to go out into the world if you're not going to utilize them, and let them continue to hone their craft.
Yeah,
and then if they improve and you see something in them and you think you can do a better job, then all right, fine, call them back to the table and see if you can strike a deal down the road, like a Drew McIntyre, like a Jinder Mahal, something like that. But just to have them on the roster, they're not getting any better. No. They're not getting television time. Where are they going to work? Besides what? Maybe occasionally jobbing at the house shows. I mean, what does that do? And we're locking them up for big time money for long term deals just so the other promotions don't get them. That makes no sense.
I'm moving off of that. They're gunning for a sale. I know that's a popular talking point now, but now looking back at this, seeing this, And no offense to the recent round that just got released, but did you see a Stone Cold? Did you see a Rock? Did you see a needle mover in those releases? No, you didn't. So I think that's what it is. They know who their big players are. They're trying to get a good mix here and there. And then, so, people, online are going to be screaming more releases and everything else.
And let's be honest,
but it's not.
In the case of Breezango, and I hate to say this, but Breezango, after they got the tag team belts off of them and they started elevating and giving other tag teams more television time, unfortunately, Breezango started to stale out.
Yes.
You could already see it on television that they were shying away from them anyways.
Yes.
Especially with the new cliques that are developing, tag teams like Everrise that they were giving more television time to. I mean, so what I see with this, though, with these cuts, a lot of damn tag teams.
Yeah.
A lot of tag teams, which tells you once again where tag team wrestling stands with this company.
Yeah.
And it shows when they put together these makeshift teams. They do it for a reason. They really don't value the tag team division. Look at this makeshift tag team they threw together with Killian Dane and Drake Maverick.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was probably going to get over as big as it did. I mean, they weren't like needle movers, but the crowd seemed like people actually were really liking the Dane Maverick stuff.
I'm wondering, too, if that's a part of...
And that was without a live crowd.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if Vince or creative is relying a lot on that because of when Mick Foley suggested, and I know it was an on-screen suggestion, but I think it was backstream too, when he said Cesaro and Sheamus need to tag up. We need to get them together. Two guys were not brought up as a tag team, made them together, and they had a very successful run. People love them. And I think maybe that's sticking in the old man's head. Hey, maybe we can mix some of these guys. We don't need all these, bring them up as a tag team like you used to do. And then you had the star of the tag team and the non-star, and then you break them up like that, like they used to. I think now he's just trying to get singles elevated, and then, hey, let's throw them together. RK Bro is another one, but now I'm starting to see them. I don't know if they're moving away from them too early or not, because I hope they keep them together for when the live shows hit the arena, because I would love to see the reactions of actual fans with those two together. But they're starting to sow the seeds already of that breakup happening too quick.
Yeah, Slade PJ, it's the Bush League Mud Show, talking some professional wrestling. WWE roster cuts that were announced yesterday. On to the next story, which I was thinking about saving this for last, but I was like, no, this is just too good. Let's just get it out there. This is just hilarious, because this is stuff that we all, as pro wrestling fans, we joke around about a lot. But it isn't until someone actually just says it out of their own mouth that we're like, whoa, this shit really, really, really goes down. WWE writer reportedly, allegedly fired after claiming that she didn't have the knowledge of the product. This writer, Kenise Mobley, who is also a stand-up comedian and comedy writer, she had been let go from the company. She's the same writer. She went on the Asian Not Asian podcast earlier this week, Nate, and she said that she had received the job with WWE without having any previous pro wrestling knowledge.
Is this the aftermath of how Rogan, you know what I mean? Like, he was a stand-up comedian, and Dana White talked him into doing this. Do you think they were trying to sort of recruit?
But Joe Rogan, from what I understand, Joe Rogan always had an affinity for mixed martial arts.
For free. Yeah, he did it for free. He loved it so much when UFC
a little different, because he at least was a fan of the product.
He knew the product.
He knew the product.
Do you think they were thinking that, once again, like a Dennis Miller kind of shit? We're going to bring something like that in?
Well,
why else would you do that?
Well, they've got nothing but writers now who come from different folds, different sections of Hollywood. You got soap opera writers there. You got comedy writers there. Freddie Prinze Jr. was a writer there for a couple of years.
Right.
So, so she was speaking to the Asian Not Asian podcast. Mobley said, quote, these are the comments that she made. Just in case, if you
believe it, I'm going to pour some water on this after you're done. But okay,
I see the comedic aspect. She could have been maybe cracking some jokes, but there's some shit in here though that I'm like, eh. So this is what she said on the Asian Not Asian podcast. Mobley said, "Quote: Yes, I've just been hired by WWE. Given the things that you know about me and my entire life and what I'm into, yes, that's surprising. Yes, also a surprise to me. They did not require me to know anything about wrestling, but I do have a background in film production and comedy writing. And they're like, perfect, come on in. She went on to say that, so I am on the Monday Night Raw team. So there's Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, and the people I know that are on it are Bobby. His last name is either Bobby Ashley or Bobby Lashley, and I really should know that. He's like this giant black guy, and he and the people who are a part of his crew, I know what they call, or at least as of last year, they call themselves the Hurt Business. The Hurt Business. They wear suits and they're like, we're cool. Now, she has been featured on the Tonight Show, Vice, and NBC as far as being a stand-up comedian, doing some comedy writing. Sean Ross Sapp, he was the first to break the news. He said that Mobley was no longer with the company. Sapp said, quote, for what it's worth, I'm told fan reaction to Kenice Mobley's podcast appearance had little to do with the decision for WWE to let her go. I was told it was more of an internal concern, what she was told. I'm not sure, end quote. Ringside News, they exclusively reported the WWE is pushing to hire more comedy writers.
Interesting.
There was also some heat on Mobley for how much attention she brought to the company for not hiring pro wrestling fans.
Okay.
All right.
This is entertainment.
Ready?
I mean, they're basically just saying it now. They're not even hiding it.
She is trolling everyone online.
Okay.
I know. Did she really work for the company?
She working the boys.
She's working everyone.
PJ's on fire, by the way, today.
Peek behind the curtain when you have
pissed.
when you have a podcast. You are trying to get a reaction, like we are trying to do,
And you're doing
and
it.
this is the deal. They look online. All these people are bitching about WWE. Hey, I've got a concept here. I'm gonna make fun of this. That I'm a writer for WWE and I don't know anything about the product, because that's one of the things people are bitching about. So then when people see that trending,
but we talk about this all the time, that they hire writers who don't know shit about the product, but yet they're writing storylines for people they don't even have any clue about.
She must have had a reach beforehand.
So she appeared, okay, with the timeline I've got to understand here. She appeared while she was supposedly still in WWE?
Correct.
Okay, because I'm going to say they have ironclad fucking contracts where they're not going to let you just spew this shit out. Think about the 90-day compete clauses they have when they just release wrestlers.
Or non-compete.
And all that stuff. So when they have writers who are behind the scenes with the biggest mind of the company, I'm going to guess there's a little, non-disclosure. They can't say shit. They're gag orders, and they are going to get sued out of their ass. This is fucking troll 101 right here. You see a niche, you see people, you see something to get a reaction. They got the reaction. People are talking about it. I think it's total BS.
There you go. PJ says it's cap. It's pure cap.
God, I've never seen you so fired up. Jesus Christ.
Well, it's the thing. It's about. I love wrestling fans, but I hate wrestling fans sometimes because we
audio,
fall for.
His hand went to he face palmed.
Well, yes, because
you're about ready to ruin the set.
Well,
Jesus Christ.
I love wrestling, but we've got some real fucking idiots sometimes that buy everything online. Yeah. Boy, I'm a real heel right now, bitching out half our audience.
Still real to me, damn it.
God damn it.
You're passionate. You're passionate. That's
great. We can't buy everything online. Yeah. We got to start thinking with our heads a little bit, thinking, okay, they're trying to hook, line, sinker us with this.
All right, Braun Strowman.
Oh, Jesus.
He was another person part of
Relax now.
Cuts recently.
All right.
Braun Strowman alluded that his time with the company, he equated it to a toxic relationship. So he got released, as I mentioned a little bit ago. He was the part of the second round of cuts after WrestleMania. Ever since he's been released, dude, if you've been checking him out, he's been just living his best fucking life. He's looking great. He's
hanging out at the zoo.
He's every fucking
swimming
where.
with tigers and shit.
That's what happens when you're no longer on that busy-ass WWE schedule. Yeah, he took to his Instagram story. He shared a meme that a fan put out there, which was actually a funny meme where it talks about, when you're no longer... with WWE, and it threw shade at WWE, calling it a toxic relationship. It was basically just a meme that he liked, and he said was really funny. So apparently there's a little fire there.
Well, too, and there was something during the In Your House pay-per-view, the NXT pay-per-view, where, I guess him and Raquel Gonzalez might be dating or in a relationship or something like that. And somebody added him something like, how's Raquel Gonzalez's penis or something like that. And he responded back, bigger than yours. It was fantastic.
Are they really dating, or is this kind of like Dave Bautista and Dana Brooke from a couple of years ago?
I don't know. I think they're friends, but I don't know relationship status in WWE. But it was a fantastic clapback. Braun is winning social media right now.
WWE draft plan rumors are out there right now, and they reportedly are planning to give the upcoming draft after SummerSlam a big event feel compared to the past couple of years. According to Andrew Zarian of the Mat Men Pro Wrestling Podcast, the draft is scheduled for August 30th and September 3rd, which are episodes of both Raw and SmackDown. These will be the first episodes after the SummerSlam that's going to be taking place on Saturday, August 21st. That's the Vegas show. According to Zarian, WWE, they have big plans for some of those who will be switching brands as part of the draft. He noted that WWE wants to give the draft a bigger feel this year than usual. So the most recent draft, they held that in October. And they had no fans in attendance, of course, because of COVID. They're going to be back on the road.
Yeah.
They're going to be in front of a live crowd. They're going to be able to get that pop. They're going to be able to get that live reaction. Here's my thing. Over the last 5 years or so, no one truthfully gives a rat's ass about the draft. All this is a ploy to pop a little small rating because we know within a month you're going to have people making appearances on the other shows anyway.
We just made up a new rule. He's a wild card.
Which the owner of the company didn't even know the fucking wild card rules.
It's whatever the hell I want, pal.
You remember that promo?
That's right, yeah.
It was like he was making the shit up on the spot.
He was. I bet he was. Because he was going out there, now we got a wild card rule, pal. Hit his music. Get his ass out here. You're on this program now. Probably not even a fucking building.
And what was the original? Was it that a person on the other brand, they could come on the other show up to 3 times a year?
Yes.
And then Kofi ended up being like 5 weeks in a row.
Yeah, and it took them and it was funny too because they had to put the screenshot on this, like a little image, and it took them about a minute and a half to go over this. Now a superstar can cross over to this show about 3 times a year, but then Cole had to explain it.
It's when you show up and you rip the whole fucking script up and you write it on the spot.
It's like the drunken best man at the wedding getting the speech.
Exactly. That's
doesn't
great.
know half of the bridesmaids. Doesn't know the aunts and uncles and tries pulling jokes.
Yeah, he gets up there with the speech. He's a little stumbling a little bit.
Ding, 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 ding. Okay. Now, something to say.
Now, when he was trying to explain the wild card rule, was that about as awkward as the night that he was giving away the McMahon millions and they were calling people who were not picking up the phone on live fucking TV?
I think Pritchard talked about that on Something to Wrestle on how they kept calling fucking people and there was no one there.
Did they not learn their lesson from the old In Your House pay-per-views?
Fucking telemarketers.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that's the thing. You can't have a call in anymore because people are going to think it's the goddamn warranty guy. Or
my student loans aren't paid.
Yeah,
Shit.
yeah, exactly.
No, I don't want a fucking T-shirt.
Yeah. But you're right with the draft. This is no one gives a shit. And I know it was corny as fuck, but when they did start with Fox and Fox tried to NFL it up a little bit.
Right. Oh, when they were promoting the draft.
Yeah, did they?
They had Joe Buck in the NFL team,
yeah.
Troy Aikman.
I mean, they were
Jimmy Johnson.
See, Jimmy,
who Jimmy was
Jimmy
only there
didn't give
just
a
to
shit.
get the bag to cut that fucking spot. Jimmy
Exactly.
didn't give a shit
But
about the product.
Jimmy Johnson, the maestro of the NFL trade point system, at least.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that was something, but yeah, no one cares because you changed the rules so much, and because
it wears off after a couple of weeks when people have already gotten a pretty good idea of what you're going to do with these rosters. I mean, the whole point of the draft was to shake it up and get those fresh matchups. If you couldn't do it on pay-per-view, then occasionally you could rip those fresh matchups, fresh new feuds. Well, now it's just kind of like everyone is sanitized in their booking, unless your name is Roman Reigns or at this point right now Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley. If you're outside of that, your booking is pretty much it's homogenized, it's sanitized down and watered down to no one's expecting anything big out of anyone now. Everyone's gonna win some, lose some, win some, lose some, win some, lose some, and it's down the line. So no, the draft just does not have the same effect as it once did before.
And I gotta say, with the pay-per-view schedule too, that screws everything up. You're going to have Money in the Bank coming up as your next pay-per-view. Then obviously SummerSlam. So the guy that wins Money in the Bank, there's no surprise on him cashing in on anyone anymore because he can't cross brands because you have now a draft for him to stay on that brand. So it kind of kills the whole concept of Money in the Bank, a little bit of a surprise. Yeah, it's a little surprise when he does come down and bring it down, but it kills the total surprise of what it can be.
In relation to the draft, I think this, without a doubt, has something to do with the draft. So last week, it was reported that both Karrion Kross and Bronson Reed, they had worked some matches. Kross was working Dolph Ziggler. Bronson Reed was said to have worked Bobby Roode. This is a part of some WWE main event TV tapings. And for this week, there's a report from Fightful that Scarlett and Shotzi Blackheart were both backstage at SmackDown.
Okay.
Yeah, they were working dark matches prior to SmackDown. So, there you go. WWE said they're working out these NXT superstars, just kind of get a good idea of what they have to work with at their disposal for the next draft so they can figure out exactly who they can shit on. Next when it comes to NXT talent.
It kind of makes sense, though, to, I guess, get familiarized with them before the SmackDown and Raws go on the road respectively.
Don't you already have a national fucking television show, though, for NXT where you could just watch the tape?
I guess
watch them
my
on
guess
TV?
is maybe, is Main Event still a Peacock thing or is that a Hulu thing? I don't know what the hell it is anymore. My guess is it's a Peacock thing. Maybe there's an emphasis to try to help these lower watched programs of WWE programming, put some names people know on there a little bit more, like on Main Event, so they tune in and help those subscription numbers or streaming numbers. That's all I'm thinking on this.
Well, I was going to ask, you guys are obviously more knowledgeable than I am, but is this an excuse to get cameos?
Oh God, we could
For
go
real?
into that.
For real? I mean, is this what you guys are talking about? Not necessarily the draftees, but have people come up.
When you talk about the cameos, are you talking about
No, not actual cam. I think I know what he's talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
Appearances.
Hey,
Exactly.
Joey, happy birthday,
Exactly.
brother.
Exactly.
$700.
I mean, it sounds dumb, but why else would they do it? Well, we have Tammy from Arkansas.
Let me see if I...
Myrtle.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah.
In South Carolina.
Happy anniversary, Greg and Ann. Ann, I know you're a huge wrestling fan because Greg tells me. Full of shit. 750.
Turn page.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know it was. I started to ruin the show with a dumb question, but Jesus, that's what it sounds like.
See, I thought you meant cameo by like popping up at a show and just saying, "There he is."
Well, that too.
Okay.
Not to digress, but I still say my favorite cameo is probably DDP, where he's complaining about the fucking fees that he had to pay in order to do the one cameo for was it a happy birthday or what? He's like,
yeah, man, they fee me like $20 or I don't know what it was.
Well,
but
you have like Snoop showing up at like these big events.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Like,
But then
what the
that's
fuck
thing.
does he know about boxing?
DDP has a 1.5-minute commercial for DDPY yoga. We're not fucking yoga or whatever. Whatever the hell it is. Yeah.
Let's do Warrior 1.
Oh my God.
SummerSlam, potential SummerSlam plans. WWE, they said to be having as of right now, an all hands on deck approach towards the WrestleMania of the summer. At least that's what we used to think of it as. SummerSlam's kind of been a little the last couple of years. But Edge is expected to participate. Well,
yeah, we saw him
makes sense. We saw him on Friday Night SmackDown last night. He is coming back, and he was going at Roman Reigns. Well, along with Roman Reigns, a rumored Reigns versus Cena matchup for SummerSlam, WWE is said to be planning on stacking the SmackDown side with another major matchup, and the sources are saying the ideal as of right now would be a match where Edge, for the first time ever, would take on Seth Rollins. My question for you, PJ, are you all for a Edge-Seth Rollins matchup? It's fresh, first time, two guys I could envision that match right now in my head. I think it'd be a solid match.
My problem is the timing. I want to see the Rollins-Cesaro blow-off at SummerSlam because I think Cesaro has earned that. They've told a good story here with those two.
Are they dropping potentially the breadcrumbs that Rollins will interfere in a Reigns? And now they have not announced this yet, but I'm going to assume it's going to be Reigns Edge at Money in the Bank.
Yeah, that's what we're lining up for.
Does Rollins cost Edge that match, and that's how we kick that thing off?
I would have to guess because then it sounds like we're wrapping up Rollins and Cesaro at Money in the Bank then too.
Here's my other problem. There's not enough time. We haven't seen Edge since WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Edge went into Mania, slowly but surely, transformed back into being a heel.
Yeah.
Now he's supposed to be a babyface. Now they got him coming at Reigns.
Yeah.
That does nothing for me. So now he will be a babyface in this matchup with Rollins because Rollins right now is playing a pretty good obnoxious heel on the show.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job with that. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see Edge as a babyface.
I don't either.
Doesn't do anything for me.
Now, when those two guys, they're eventually going to get together. I just question the timing now.
My thoughts with that, Edge would be in Money in the Bank, would win Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
And we get some nostalgia in terms of Edge if you want to, because it seemed like.
But how many opportunities can you give him, though? Because he won the Rumble. And then if he wins Money in the Bank in the same, that would be some kind of record, too. But don't put it past him.
Good point. And relates in relations to Seth Rollins is I want to call the wife, but do we call Becky Lynch the baby mama? Do we call Becky Lynch just the girlfriend? I don't know. I just like to put that slang on it, man. I like to say baby mama.
Baby mom.
They're not married.
Mom. I think it was the mom.
The mom.
Yeah,
Becky Lynch update. Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, he revealed that fans should be expecting Lynch's comeback to happen relatively soon, as Meltzer put it out there. As reported previously by PW Insider and Fightful Select, Lynch was spotted at the Performance Center training for her in-ring return. Meltzer also put it out there, some confirmed reports of her backstage presence at Hell in a Cell. It was added that WWE had originally wanted to book her. They wanted to book her for WrestleMania 37.
Yeah, that was going to happen.
The idea was that Becky was just going to appear there. Yeah. It was talked about. She was going to appear. She was going to potentially interrupt the Bayley segment, but never showed up.
Yeah.
By Meltzer's account, he says that WWE, they ended up not using her at WrestleMania 37, and I did not know this, but apparently they were waiting on her to sign a new contract at that time, so they didn't want to jump the gun on that. She didn't have a new contract, so they felt, why sit there and make her come out and do something big with Becky, and then we got to deal with the contract out. And So right now the company is said to be refraining from getting Lynch back for the Mega Show because officials, they don't want to jump the gun on the return. So, but it said that she, when she does come back, the plans are not for her to wrestle, immediately.
Okay. See, that's why I'm thinking Royal Rumble's more of a natural time. Just thinking of having kids myself and the mother and a child relationship, you know how hard that is for her to, if she's going to do, I doubt she's going to have her do all
Seth,
that.
He's the dad. He can get out there on the road and still work. She's the mom.
She's the mom.
The kid needs the mom.
Mom's going to be there. The child's not even a year old yet. Now, there is a point, though, that, yes, the mom wants to be the woman again, obviously, because you want to continue work and all that stuff. So I'm not saying she's not, but I think more realistically, wrestling fans, we want her back right away. Realistically, I think Royal Rumble's a good chance because then the child's a year old and then, just time or weather. But if she comes back earlier than that, I mean, obviously I know they're rich enough, they have nannies and everything else, but I'm just saying there's some, other things in play there besides wanting to come back to wrestling.
It isn't like musicians where you bring your family with.
Yes.
You ever notice like the Tim McGraw, Faith Hill kind of thing?
Yeah.
Well, okay, get the boss.
You don't have the family tour bus. Yeah.
But this is like training. This is,
Yes,
physical. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not with a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
An update, wrestling-wise, when it comes to Sonya Deville, it's been almost about a year since Sonya Deville, she lost her Loser Leaves WWE match last year at SummerSlam with Mandy Rose. As people already know, she took a few months off after that. She had the serious issue that was related to the fan attempting to attack her after breaking into her home, in which her and Mandy Rose, as they were prepping for their damn SummerSlam match, they were having a slumber party. The company, they got around that. They brought her back as an authority figure next to Adam Pearce back at the beginning of the year. The role she's done a great job in. It's probably not going to last forever.
No.
She was on the bump earlier this week and was asked how much she's itching to get back in the ring. Deville said she is perfectly content to stay right where she is at right now. And that's all I have on that. I guess all that I can say or ask you is, can you blame her?
No.
The way that they've booked the women's division specifically, can you blame her? If I'm her, I don't want a damn thing to do with being involved in a wrestling storyline with that company right now as it pertains to the women's division.
In her timing and all that shit that happened, I mean, it sucked because she was on...
She was red hot.
She was red hot.
She was cutting some of the best promos in the company.
She was on that path to champion. I mean, she could have held the championship. I think that's why maybe Bayley and Sasha...
Was loving her work.
Again, were loving her work. Back and forth. But yeah, I think that whole timing derailed that. And I guess if she's happy with what it is right now, because like you said, the creative is not the greatest in the world with what they would do with her or not. If she would be able to, maybe this is a transition though from being power player, commissioner type to get back into that role. I don't know. I mean, you had the great idea of maybe she was going to be like Charlotte Flair kind of manager kind of type or something like bodyguard or power player or something like that. They're not doing that now, but I mean, if this is what she's happy with, and that's, may as well stick with it now.
Jeff Hardy's contract. Some news on that. It appears that WWE and the future Hall of Famer, they're reportedly working under a contract that has been altered recently. And that would make sense because we just start booking him in some angle with Cedric Alexander in which they had a match where if Hardy were to lose, he was going to leave the company, but then Hardy won.
That's right. We had that match.
We had that match.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So according to Fightful Select, the new WWE contract that Hardy signed with the company, it has either been restructured, re-signed, or extended since then.
Okay.
Fightful Select, they also noted that Hardy is bringing back his old theme song, No More Words, and apparently that was something, a crew they put into the new deal. And they don't want to break that song out until Hardy says he doesn't want that to be used until the fans return. So he wants that to be a part of the So, for a guy who was actually in a very solid feud with Sheamus, they had him win the blow-off match in the bar.
Yeah.
And then we didn't even book Jeff for Mania.
Oh, we didn't.
He wasn't even on the Mania card.
Yeah.
So, I think Jeff's at an age now where, I don't know, without professional wrestling, what does Jeff Hardy do besides, motocross on the property and do things in North
Playing
Carolina?
in the band and doing the art stuff.
I think he sees as of right now, it's security-wise, it's probably best for him and his family to stay with the company, not necessarily be with his brother. I think he knows that in AEW, there's nothing much different for him there. No. Why not stay with safer?
I think it would be safer in WWE. And maybe, too, it is a loyalty thing to a point because
Vince, they've been with Vince since they were babies.
Been with Vince. They've helped him through the tough times.
Absolutely.
I believe they've helped him with some of the rehab stints or
all of it,
trying to help him out with that.
They've always been patient with him.
And two, they're old school guys. They came up through indies and the systems, and they see how it works. And with the age, looking at things, he maybe's like, I'm not the top guy, but I'm a guy that can work. I can help. I can be a locker room kind of leader, help these young guys out. And I think he's at peace with that for right now.
Yeah, and the fans still like him.
Yeah. Exactly. He's going to get a pop every time he comes out.
Every time he comes out.
Now with the song deal, too. Once he uses that, he'll get another bigger pop.
Alberto El Patron, the former Alberto Del Rio, has broken his silence about the kidnapping and assault allegations against him.
Yeah.
Now, his trial has been postponed on that, which is why he's been okayed to work this match with Andrade this summer.
Okay.
And
when is that one? Is that before the Omega match?
I do not believe this is a Triple Mania match. I cannot remember exactly what
it's
event.
Another promotion.
It's another. Yeah, I can't remember if it's AAA or if it's another. But so that trial for the kidnapping and the assault, that's been postponed, so he's allowed to work that match. But just all kinds of crazy shit. He's also saying that Paige broke a confidentiality agreement, and he's looking to sue for $1 million, or it was a $1 million confidentiality agreement.
Still on this.
It's like all over the place. But anyways, Alberto El Patron, he broke his silence on the allegations. He was speaking to the Push Podcast on Body Slam's YouTube channel, and El Patron had this to say about it. He said, quote, "It was a nightmare, a complete nightmare. People have no idea what it was. Of course, now we are in a different place. Now the truth is starting to come to light. Now that everything is different, that I am able to talk because people have been saying, why hasn't Alberto been saying anything? People need to understand that we're talking about my freedom, and I have seen so many people go to jail over something that they didn't do. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in my legal defense and getting the best lawyer in Texas and having him saying,
the best lawyer in Texas.
Alberto, it's in your best interest to not say anything. Now we're in a better place. Truth is starting to come to light. The evidence has been shown that there is nothing." Now, the allegations of this, I don't have the details in front of me, but if I can paraphrase without getting too out of pocket, this was do you remember the allegations of this? This was a girlfriend who claimed, an ex-girlfriend now, who had a child, who claimed that Alberto was beating her up. He had claimed that she was cheating on him. Mm-hmm. So he withheld her, kidnapped her, kept her inside the house, made her dress up in various dresses from what I understand. He made her do dances for him.
It puts a lotion on the basket. Jesus Christ.
From what I understand, he made her try on different wardrobe outfits and do like whorish dances for him or something.
Okay.
He was beating on her. Allegedly, he had raped her, and then he had allegedly told her that he was going to drop her son off in the middle of a busy road or something. Like, it was like some really crazy shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that trial's been postponed. So I'm not sure how much longer until he's going to have to tend back to that. But apparently it's not going to, now that that's been postponed, he can go out and he can work. I don't know who wants to hire this guy at this point because even before these allegations, he was really starting to get off the fucking rocker anyways. I mean, there was just so much shit out there that was in relation to Alberto Del Rio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think Impact was the last straw of a promotion type picking him up. I think now he's gonna have to work these indies until that thing clears because it's not good. I mean, how can you draw with a guy with those allegations hanging over him until that's all cleared up? You can't trust it.
Moving on to AEW news. Tony Khan.
You got a beer in here?
You are fired up today. Probably.
Oh, shit. Here's the Bush League Mud Show. Be sure to like and subscribe to us here on YouTube and also listen to us wherever you can listen to your favorite podcast, broadcasting here in the Disney Course Media Studios dungeon. AEW News. Tony Khan says he doesn't know how a company could, quote, screw it up when it comes to Sting. He was on a recent...
Doing a good job. Oh, I'm sorry. I should let you get into the story before I...
So Tony Khan, along with Orange Cassidy, they were both on a recent episode of Wrestling with Brandon F. Walker. And they were joining the show. What the hell are you laughing at? They were on there to promote AEW's upcoming shows across the country. Now, while discussing the mixing of legends with the current talents, Khan, he specifically named Sting as someone who, to him, has really stood out both on screen and backstage. Khan went on to praise Sting as someone who came in ready to work and said he doesn't know how anyone could have dropped the ball with Sting. Now, I don't know if that was to take shots.
I'm sure it was because it usually is.
Right, but if we're talking about WWE, do I look at it as did they drop the ball or did they just purposely unutilize what they had? They just took the free bag. They knew they were going to get merchandising money. They knew that in terms of the merchandise and having the rights to sell the Sting merchandise, stuff like that, they were going to generate revenue off of that. So they knew what they were getting. They knew what they had with Sting. As far as the wrestling portion, that just unfortunately was cut short. I didn't expect Sting to work a lot of matches to begin with when he came back.
No.
Could you criticize them for booking Sting to lose to Triple H in the fashion they did at WrestleMania in San Francisco?
100%.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So many years of anticipation of will Sting ever work in the company? Time was ticking.
Yeah.
It was a good time. Sting finally felt he was in the right place. The company had a spot open. They had to bring him in and beat him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry to go over the river and through the woods to get to grandma's house on this, but just kind of give them the backstory of the whole WWE. But I don't think that they necessarily dropped the ball with Sting.
No,
I think they got the use out of Sting that they wanted.
Yeah, he was selling merch.
They milked it.
Selling merch. He was a big time merch guy and
used him for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and at the time though, you had a lot of great things going on. You could only use him maybe like quarterly or something, not every week. Not like what we're seeing now with
Mike
them.
Undertaker, how you would utilize the Undertaker.
You could pop him up because, I mean, at the time you had Cena, Daniel Bryan, Triple H, Authority, Orton, all those guys.
The problem was that after
where
Triple
would
H,
he fit in the show?
Right, he was still feuding with the Authority.
Yes.
He had already lost to Triple H at the Mania. That was the same night that Rollins cashed it in.
Yes.
Against Lesnar and Reigns.
Yes.
Rollins had just became the champ. So we had Sting lose to Triple H, but then go into a feud with Rollins over the title.
But that took till June to get to that point. June or July.
Which wasn't that far. Think about how, WrestleMania is usually in April.
Yeah.
It was only about 3 months.
Yeah, but he went away. He went away and then he came out in the box.
But he came out to feud with the current champ who had just gotten the belt, which we knew he wasn't going to lose. It was too early.
But it was to help build Rollins a little bit more to give him...
As a result of Sting taking another loss.
Yeah. I mean, the booking was not great, but it did build. It helped build Rollins.
I'm going to say then, I guess Khan is referring to the wrestling match booking then, as far as they dropped the ball.
Yeah,
all right, fine. I'll give him that.
Well,
at least Sting has been staying strong record-wise in AEW.
That's the thing, though. Did he? Because I know they're all about wins and losses in AEW in this ranking system that makes no sense, but I'm going to keep harping. He helped get Rollins over more by letting, I am 100% with the Triple H. There's no way in hell he should have lost that match. And why the hell we had the NWO DX crap? That made no sense at all.
It didn't make any sense.
But the Rollins one I can see because you are trying to build this guy. You are, trying to give him some big wins. And if you give him a win over Sting, that's going to be pretty credible. So that's why I understand. Oh, well, he didn't win any matches in WWE. I understand that, but he did the job of helping build these other guys, which now they continue to be on an upward trajectory.
But you had a young generation of wrestling fans who didn't know any better, didn't really know the history of Sting, because they talked about a lot of overnight. He became the top-selling merch draw in the company.
Yes.
All right, so you got these little kids who are getting into watching wrestling. They see this guy that we grew up watching, this cool-looking guy with the fucking face paint, Sting. Who the fuck's... I want that guy's T-shirt. I want that mask.
Yes.
And then he's losing fucking matches. And you're a little kid, and you're like, well, then what's so damn special about this guy?
But remember, too,
he's a loser.
Going back to was it Crockett, WCW at the time, with the Flair matches, it took them 3 or 4 years with Flair before they actually felt comfortable putting the gold belt on him. I mean, it took a while then too.
Kind of went on to talk about, he praised Sting. I'm going to paraphrase it. He said he was a guy that was just, he wasn't looking to, even though he is a star, he wasn't really coming to, looking to come in to kind of steal the glory of anyone.
Yeah, he's not a shit disturber. Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't looking for $20 bajillion, as Khan put it. And he said that he's at TV every week, regardless if he's going to be on or not. He's a huge part of the roster. And so a lot of praise from Tony Khan as far as that, as far as with Sting. Paul Wight. He's still holding out this hope, dude, that he can someday have this match with Shaq. Oh, God. AEW.
Well, it probably will happen because they're both under the Turner umbrella.
Well, that's the thing. So this has been teased for years about these two getting together. Big Show had put in a lot. Well, at the time when he was Big Show, he had put in a lot of work. Had a really cool body transformation, man. Big Show was looking right, and he did it.
Yeah.
The motivation was that he was in hopes that this match would finally happen, and he said Shaq wasn't doing his part nutritionally and diet-wise, and the match just didn't happen.
But they still had him out for that Battle Royal.
Yes, so that was the closest.
They both in that match?
Yes, they tussled a little bit.
But
yeah, it was a little brief tussle. It was the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. That would have been WrestleMania 32.
To Dallas,
Yeah. So that was the closest that we got. So now both guys are part of AEW under Turner. And Paul Wight, he's saying he still wants to take on Shaq in a match if it's possible. He said to the Miami Herald that, quote, I hope so at some point. It's been the biggest tease ever between Shaq versus me for how many years. At some point, you either never do it because you can't live up to the tease, or we need to hurry up and do it before it gets to be yesterday's news. I think it's been yesterday's news for the last 12 years.
Yeah.
I don't need to see it.
I mean, if that's, maybe the AEW fan base loves Shaq. I don't know because he got a win over Cody.
And two guys that big, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't get my jollies off to watch a match like that between two big, huge juggernaut guys like that.
Well, with the AEW style, too, with jumping around, exciting action.
It'd be very slow pace.
It would be very slow. I don't know how those fans would take to that.
Jon Moxley. If there's one thing about Jon Moxley no one can ever take away from him, it's his ability to just cut a fucking natural promo.
Yes.
He's one of the better promos in the business. And I don't I don't think I'm stretching it when I say I think Moxley generationally, I think he could have been in any generation of the business when it comes to being a talker. That was one of the things that stuck out to me about him in WWE was when I first saw this guy as Dean Ambrose. I'm like, oh, this guy can fucking talk.
Yes.
Well, he explains why he hates WWE's promo style. So Moxley, he's taking some time off right now. He's about to be the father-to-be, and he was guest hosting with his wife, Renee Paquette, on the Oral Sessions Q&A segment. And he answered some questions about how storytelling in pro wrestling translates to writing a book, which Moxley will be doing. He talked about WWE idiosyncrasies when it comes to giving wrestlers things to say. Moxley said, quote, "It's like kind of like a wrestling match or a promo. That's why WWE promos fucking suck. Because they jammed 5,000 fucking words in there that aren't necessary.
Correct.
Say what you want. Mean what you want to say. Get your point across. I'm going to beat your ass on Saturday night because I don't like you. Boom. Done. Sometimes in a match, it's like, okay, we planned on all these fucking spots, but what is the story? What are we trying to get at? You're the good guy. You're the bad guy. You're big. You're small. You're tall. You're short. Whatever the contrast of styles or the story we're telling is, why do we have all this? Sometimes you just look at it and go, you know what? We don't need all that extra shit. PJ, we're radio guys.
Yep.
We're the same way. Say what you gotta say and shut the fuck up.
Get in, get out.
Get in and get out. Yep. And, when you've got writers in WWE, the scripted promos, and we're trying to get everyone on the fucking roster to speak the King's English to get a damn point across with a promo. It really takes you out of the element, and I'll be honest with you, it's to the point where 90% at least of the promos that I hear in that company, they immediately make me cringe within the first 10 seconds because you immediately know if the talent is feeling the promo.
Yes.
Because we already know based on how it's worded, and that's where they get into a big time problem, is that they put so many words in it that depending on who it is, talent wise, that's saying the promo on television, it doesn't come across as something that person would say.
No.
Because we got all this extra sauce, this extra lip service to just get out again. Just a promo. Look, Saturday night, I'm going to beat your ass. You're the good guy. I'm the bad guy. I don't like you. I'm going to beat your ass. Boom. But when you've got 3-hour fucking Raw shows and you've got these segments to fill before your next commercial break, this is what you get, unfortunately, with the product.
Yeah. I think they get too cute with it. They get away from the nuts and bolts of what it's supposed to be, what the build is supposed to be, and they get way too wordy. And you're right on. The first 10 seconds when they start verbiage that script that they were given backstage to memorize, you're like, this is nothing that character should say or would say in a real life situation.
Well, there's the scene that always sticks out in my mind is when they had Scott Hall come and help out at the Performance Center with promos. Yeah. And Dusty was still alive, and Dusty was teaching a promo class and all that, and they had them, everyone get up there and kind of do a promo or whatever, and they were all being kind of groomed to cut it the WWE way.
Yes.
And it was guys like Dusty and Triple H and all these guys who had to teach you the WWE way, but even though these guys come from an old school where give me the bullet points.
Yes.
Just tell me when I need to go out there and talk. Okay, I got it from there. But they had to teach it the WWE way. So you had these wrestlers that were being groomed and conditioned to do it that way. And Apollo Crews, who they had high hopes for, they really liked him. They all liked him universally. They wanted Scott Hall to talk to him and work with him. And so Scott says, well, let's see what he's got. And Apollo cuts the promo. And there's the scene where Scott takes him off to the side. And he says, that promo that you cut, looking at you, That's not something you would really say. What would you really say? Because the way you just cut that, it doesn't come across to me like you really want to rip that guy's head off.
Yes.
Like it doesn't really come across like you're too nice. You're too nice. And, maybe they've given him a little leeway now that he's a heel.
Yeah. I think in that case, they've probably think, well, they're on their last.
That might explain the accent.
Yes.
That he's so much of a nice guy.
Exactly.
Well, let's give him an accent.
Do this.
And give him a big bodyguard. Right. And have him cut the same kind of promos, but with an accent. Yeah. Maybe that'll come across a little bit more believable.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is starting to work now with that. But, yeah, you're absolutely right. Just how they manufacture the promos and they don't keep it as simple as it should be. Just like Moxley said, showing up Saturday night, I'm going to beat your ass. Come watch.
Thunder Rosa. She felt disrespected, she said, after the AEW Lights Out match. And we talked about this, dude. I talked about it the night after.
Yes,
or the day after. I said, this is ridiculous. Why is she not getting any props for I get it that she's technically signed to NWA, but goddamn, this match, if you want to crown it for what everyone's saying that it was, give her credit for being the professional that had the experience over Britt Baker in that Lights Out match that got it over the way that it did. Yep. So this match, I can't believe it's been that long already, but March 17th, that was the March 17th edition of Dynamite, the Lights Out match. Now, Lita, earlier this week, she gave some mad praise to the match in both Baker and Thunder Rosa. Yeah. And despite Thunder Rosa winning the match, most of the talk, pretty much all the talk afterwards that I heard, it was all centered around Baker. And she was in an interview with Sean Ross Sapp. I'll give my comments here in a little bit, but Rosa, she detailed her frustrations with the aftermath of the match. She said, quote, "I don't want to say it's hate, but the disrespect that I felt after the Lights Out match, and I know it was historical for both of us because it wouldn't have happened if Baker wasn't there, and it wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have been there, but it would have been completely different. I just feel that I was robbed a little bit, even though I was the winner."
Yeah.
Excuse me.
That's the whole thing. You forget about that, even to this point.
There's a lot of things adding up. She's the face of the women's division. Congratulations are in order. You work your ass off, but I think that she's been going through tribulations of her own, and I give her kudos for that. But for me, as Thunder Rosa, everybody knows my story. I don't think there is somebody that has struggled so much to be where I am, and even now working in 2 different companies. I'm still struggling to get that respect that I deserve. It's not because you're giving it to me. It's because I earn it every single time I step in the ring, in Dark, in Elevation, on Dynamite, and NWA. I don't put out crappy matches. I work my ass off, and yes, I put my life in danger every single match I step in there, not only one. Now, I'll back it up. She was the winner of the match.
Yes.
No one talked about how good she was. No one talked about that she was the veteran in that match, that she was the one that helped calling it and getting Baker. Now, look, we knew that Baker was going to be the champ at some point. We knew that that was the ideal of bringing Britt Baker in. I saw world champ on her from day one in AEW.
Yes.
We kept beating her, though. That was my issue with Britt Baker. There's the match where she gets busted open. I thought that should have been a match where they called an audible and you put Baker over because she's having a fucking Becky Lynch moment in the middle of the match. She's busted open. She made her look tough.
Yes.
She's a princess. She's gorgeous.
Yes.
She's a princess. She's a dentist. She's busted open in this match, and we still had her fucking lose the damn match.
Yes.
Was that to Rio, or was that to... Try to remember if that was the Rio match.
It was Rio, I believe.
But I just felt Baker should have won. And then we had her lose in the tournament.
Yeah, we did. That's
for
right.
the belt.
Yeah.
We had her lose early in that tournament.
Early in the tournament. She didn't get to the finals.
Make sense. Yeah. Okay. Then we put her in the Lights Out match. Actually, the tournament was after the Lights Out match. But anyways, they are in the Lights Out match. She loses, but she still got
they had
a
this,
lot of the...
Yeah, and her and Thunder Rosa had this feud, but it wasn't at a blow-off point of the feud to have a lights-out match. It was like one of their first couple meetings, if I remember.
Well, there were some run-outs here and there of like several weeks, but it wasn't even really introduced, I didn't think, properly. It was just like one of them was having a match, and Baker runs out there, interferes, or, all of a sudden they're beefing.
Yeah.
But it was just, I get it. Thunder Rosa's not technically on the AEW roster, but I thought that she should have got a lot more credit than that, especially after there was excitement of her coming to AEW after NWA was having their issues there.
Yeah, she should be getting a lot more respect just helping out with that women's division.
Yeah.
If you think about it, if it wasn't for her or Serena Deeb, it was rough watching some of these matches.
They got a lot of raw gals on that roster right now. They definitely need some work.
And I wonder what keeps... See, I know she has a school in Texas, and I think she runs her own promotion, Thunder Rosa. Is that what keeps her from trying to, and we shit on WWE. They'll probably shit on her character and all that stuff. But, I mean, I could see her as one of the top women's stars there, probably a championship contender. Sure. And I don't know if she wants that right now, or it's in the mindset, or like we said, the creative would just kill everything she has going for right now in the indies.
There's constantly questions about her deal with NWA and when it expires.
Yeah.
People expect that at some point she's got to want to maybe go to New York and make a little money and be on the national stage. Yeah. She's worked hard enough over the years. People are very familiar with her, and they feel, unfortunately, no matter how we look at the watered down product of WWE right now, there's this mentality that until you go there, everything you've done up to this point of your career don't count in a way.
Yeah, in a way, since they like to whitewash all that stuff.
Someone who used to work in that company, Matt Cardona, he talked his AEW run and if he's open for a WWE return at some point. He was on a podcast appearance with Sean Waltman last week. He discussed how he ended up in Impact Wrestling and the end of his brief AEW tenure, which I believe, what was that, like a five-match
deal?
Yeah. He said he had signed in AEW. He signed that deal for multiple dates, and when it expired, he was not even offered a new deal.
Ooh.
And he said that's when Impact Wrestling came into the mix. He also told Waltman that he would never say never about a WWE return, but that he is having fun with what he's doing right now and that his goal is not to go back. And at this point, could you blame Matt Cardona? No. You cut me, you cut my wife.
Cut my friend, Brian Myers, other friends that he's had there, like Swoggle and other.
I've got a good enough name where I can get out there on the indie circuit. I can call my shot. I can get my rate.
He's got the Action Figure Podcast.
I can go wherever I want around the world, work a date as long as I see it fit to my schedule, my lifestyle, whatever. I'm not on the Ridgers of the WWE schedule.
Yeah.
When I was there and they weren't putting me over through storyline writing. I got myself over. They were pissed at that.
Yeah.
It's like, what fucking more do you want from me?
Exactly.
Like, no, I'm gonna chill for a little bit. I'm gonna do my thing, and when I'm ready to come and rip you guys off a deal in which I just collect a bunch of money for sitting and catering when I'm winding it down.
Yeah.
Fine.
That's what
whatever
it was.
the fuck.
And I think with him too, with the whole third party thing, that I think has a huge why he doesn't want to, because he could go out and do all this stuff and get the money he deserves and not have them take a huge cut off of it or say, you can't do that podcast or you can't be going to there, or you can't do all that, because he loves going, being out there doing all the wrestling stuff. And we see him in Nick Gage with a match coming up. So I just hope and pray he's going to be all right in that mud show.
Doesn't get stabbed in the eye with an ice pick.
Or a fucking goddamn fluorescent light bulb. So I hope he's all right with all that. But I could see why he doesn't want to go back right now, just on the third party stuff.
We will end this episode of the Bush League Mud Show with Slade and PJ with this story coming out of Florida. Because where else would it come out of? Where Joey Janela was allegedly kicked out of a school board meeting. Raise your hand if you've heard this story before involving a school board meeting. Yes, Janela apparently interrupted a Seminole County school board meeting last Tuesday and was subsequently kicked out for trolling the officials in attendance in what appeared to be a Borat-type appearance.
That's
Janela.
It's the same school board.
Janela was at the meeting.
You know what I'm getting at.
Janela was at the meeting, sir.
Okay.
As was released recently WWE referee Drake Warts, who's been actively protesting against the mask mandate in recent months. Warts has also promoted his conspiracy theories, as we all are very familiar with, related to the QAnon. After getting kicked out of the meeting, Janela tweeted, "I was kicked out within 5 minutes for yelling at a doctor or something. He was a liar." Now, there's a video that is connected to this incident, and Janela can be heard going on a rant around the 2 hour and 10-minute mark, which appears to be him trolling. Warts' speech can be heard around the 1 hour 44-minute mark. And yes, Warts has continued to insist that children shouldn't be forced to wear masks, and are also, he explained why he's against the vaccinations. But yes, Joey Janela.
He's trying to make an angle because Warts was one of these deathmatch guys before he went to NXT, and that's what Janela is. So they're trying to get in someone's backyard for a match.
Joey Janela kicking up dust at the school board meetings in Florida. Pay attention.
Oh my gosh. And here they are bitching about masks and school's not even in session.
We are the Bush League Mud Show. Slade, PJ. Be sure to like and subscribe right here on YouTube. Listen to us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Special shout outs as always. Special thanks to producer Nate on the ones and twos, Dizzy Course Media Studios, and the dungeon that we proudly broadcast from weekly. We'll talk to you guys later. See you.
Husk.